Hello and welcome to another episode of Modern Mom Probs Live. I'm your host, Tara Clark. Today we're going to be talking about teaching your children how to budget. And I am joined by Mary Collins Harris. She is a mother of three. I like her bio because she often will say she's the mother of three feral children, but we're going to talk about that in a second. Mother of three, designer and co-founder of the awesome new app Ketshop. It is a parent-approved shopping app which allows parents to control the products that enter their home and the products that the children get to choose. We're going to talk about that in a second. Let me bring her on without further ado, and I'm going to invite you to video, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Come on.
Let's see if this works.
Yeah, let's see if this works. I'm inviting you to video, and let's see. Let's talk about budgeting in toys. Excellent. So it's funny because my son has a friend whose birthday is on Saturday, and I was just thinking about buying birthday presents.
Hi, I'm here. My face.
love your dress or your top.
Oh, it is. Thank you. Color is power, man. I love wearing brightness because it just, especially in these wintry days, we need a little brightness.
I couldn't be more beige today if I tried with my white background. I am beige all the way. But anyway, who cares? I love your color. I love your energy. I think that is awesome. I want to talk about Ketshop and how to budget. And I was starting to share a quick story of on Saturday, we're going to what it feels like yet another birthday party on a Saturday. And I was trying to figure out what to get my son's friend for his birthday. And it's so overwhelming with the different options that we can have for birthday presents. And it's like Pokemon cards and RC cars. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it's like, I want everyone to hear more about your app so that they could also start instituting it so that we're not so overwhelmed with so many gifts and stuff all the time.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard. And I feel like part of running a toy company is that I never have to shop for my kids' friends' toys. I'm like, let's see, what have we got here? Is he more of a Mario guy or a science girl? Yeah. So I used to have your problem. Now I just have a bunch of toys at my house at all times. So that's really the answer, is just fill your home full of toys.
Just all toys, nothing but toys for birthday parties.
It's fine.
I think that might be the solution. So start by telling us a little bit about yourself. Like I said, I give you a quick bio that you're a designer, mother of three, wife, but I want to hear more about you personally.
Yeah. So in another life, I did storyboard art for a startup in San Francisco that was teaching the way insurance worked. So it was like, I used to take these really complex ideas and break them down into little bite-sized pieces. So I'd go through reading these pages and pages of documents and try and translate it into normal English for the rest of us. So that's kind of where my background is. And then I've really found that to be helpful because when you're developing an app and developing anything for children, you got to be able to take things that are complex, like saving, budgeting, and charitable donations, and be able to explain that in a way that makes sense and not just here's all the information in the entire world, now do it yourself.
Yep, that's absolutely true. That is such a transferable skill that I think that people would probably take that for granted otherwise, until you do, start an app or have to break down really complex conversations. And so I want to start to jump into this complex conversation about budgeting. And how did you, I have two questions. Let me start with the first one. How did you come up with the idea for your app? Let's tackle that first, and then I want to talk about budgeting secondly. So how did you first come up with the idea for Ketshop?
Yeah. So it started in COVID. My then 5-year-old really wanted an RC car. His friends had them, and I don't like battery powered things. I don't like things that tear up my yard. I was like, nah, not into it. I'm not buying that for you. But he was willing to work for it. He was like, raking the yard and vacuuming and doing all these things that I was like, wow, okay, buddy, like I want to reward that kind of like chutzpah. So
Mhm.
I was like, all right, let's get you an RC car. And so he's like, all right, cool. I got the money. When are we going to the toy store? I was like, ooh, it's like 2020. So I don't know, in a year, maybe? Who knows? Nobody knows. So we went on Amazon, and there were like literally tens of thousands of options. And he it's difficult enough for an adult to try and figure out what the best option is without like getting overwhelmed by all the choices. And for a child, it was just like, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And there were things that didn't even like fit the goal he had. It was like he'd see a candy bar or like a stuffed animal. He's like, I want that, I want that. I'm like, no, but you worked so hard to get the money to buy this RC car. We are buying you an RC car.
Yeah.
But it was just so painful. You know, he was signed into my Amazon account. So I was just like, I'm going to watch you so close because I'm not going to let him buy whatever he wants on my credit card. So I just wanted, like, I wanted to be able to offer him an assortment of reasonable options and let him do the decision making and not have it be on me.
Yeah.
So we looked for something like that, and there wasn't anything that really fit the bill. So we decided to build it. And that's basically what Catch Shop is. Catch Shop is a way for parents to help curate an assortment of appropriate products for their families and then allow the children to make their own choices. And if they make a mistake, great, they learn from it. If they buy the perfect thing, great, it's on them. So it really takes some of the difficulty out of saying yes or no because it's not up to you anymore. It's up to the child. And it's been great seeing my kids just grow and like figure out how to run their own finances at such a young age.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I want to talk about. Like, I need to get those skills so that I can transfer them over to my son. I mean, I could budget my own money, but it's harder to explain that to little ones because they don't necessarily have such a great concept of economics or of budgeting. So, how did you have those conversations with your children?
You know, having the conversation is the first thing. I think a lot of times we just kind of expect our kids to follow in our footsteps and watch, or we give them coins and they're counting coins and trying to figure out at the grocery store if they can buy things. But like, when was the last time you bought anything using coins at a grocery store? That's not the way our world works anymore. And money is like this ethereal thing that floats in the air and makes things arrive. So I think it's really important to teach kids to shop in the way that adults do because otherwise, you know, we're teaching them with like money jars and stuff and like that worked in the 80s, but it's not the 80s anymore. So
Very true. I really want to sit and think about that one for a second, but it's true because what worked for us doesn't necessarily work for them with the advent of online shopping, all
mhm.
of the, Venmo, PayPal, all of the things that we have nowadays. Like, so rarely do we, like you said, count out coins on a countertop as we're
Yeah.
like paying for something. So
Yeah,
yeah,
roll them up in
totally
those
changed.
little like tubes. No one does that anymore.
I used
Um,
to do that all the time. I used to sit on the floor of my bedroom
yep.
and put coins in the rolls.
Yep. Favorite pastime as a kid, right?
Love that.
Yeah, it's really interesting too because when you give a child $2 in cash, they're like, cool, what can I buy for $2? But when they have $2 in their account and they're working towards a goal, it's not what can I buy for $2? It's, ooh, I'm $2 closer to the thing I really want. And
Yeah.
so by framing it differently like that, you're teaching the child not like spend what you got, it's make your money work for you. And so that's one really cool effect I've seen from using the app is like at first when we started using it with our kids, it was like tchotchke, tchotchke, tchotchke. They were just like buying something as soon as they could
Yeah.
afford it. And
Yeah.
then it didn't take them long to figure out like, hey, the really cool stuff costs more money. And I'm going to have to wait longer. I'm going to have to do more chores or wait for my allowance or not buy the things that I want in this exact moment so that I can have the thing that I really want later.
Yeah.
So that's been so cool to watch.
That's very cool to watch because I feel like my son and your children are very similar in that sense that they'd be like, "Ooh, I have 350. Let me buy the first thing that I could get for 350
Mm-hmm.
versus the let
Mm-hmm.
me hang on until I get to be $25." So, that's a really neat idea for them to think through because my son lately, he's been spending a lot of money on like virtual items for video games,
Mm-hmm.
and that kills me
Yeah.
because I know he's enjoying himself and he's having fun, but at the same time, like you're not getting anything for that. So that's just like money that's just going off
Oh
into
yeah.
the virtual world, right? And so I feel like maybe we need to start budgeting more for those virtual items if that's something that he's going to pursue.
Well, and help him get excited for something that is more tangible. Like even if
Yeah.
it's we could go on a vacation, like if you save up $100, like we'll go to, I don't know,
Somewhere
Disneyland or
nice.
something. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be like you get a new bike. It could be a family experience. Like we're gonna go
Yeah.
to the aquarium. Um,
Yeah. I
just
love
something
that.
that like motivates your kid that isn't, you know,
Yeah.
virtual. I don't even know what they sell. Wheelbarrow,
Yeah, I mean,
hammer.
just all it's anything you can think of, they sell virtually. Literally
Hmm.
anything you can think of, all of it,
Hey, less
everything.
clutter though. At least you don't have to clean up all the virtual toys. So
That is absolutely true. You're 100% right. So, we're talking about children having money and then budgeting, but like, how are we getting said money? Is this mostly like from gifts from, let's say, grandma or grandpa for their birthdays, or do you integrate chores and then actually earning the money for this budget?
yeah. So on Ketchup, it's up to the family. It could be um, like grandma wants to contribute because we do have like the ability to have a wish list where the grandparents or friends or family, whomever, can see the toys that both the parent and the child like, which is cool. So you won't be getting something totally inappropriate for birthday. But then other people can contribute to that fund, or it could just be the parent saying like, okay, this is allowance, this is money that we want to earmark for charitable donations, and so like you can give it to your school, you can give it to the Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders, whomever, like whatever is important to you, or it can be earmarked for spending. So it's really like however you want to use it. For our family, we have an allowance that goes out to our older kids twice, once a week, and then also, we have bonus things like um, if they want to vacuum, or we had a giant snowstorm, so we had the kids shoveling the deck, and it's like they didn't do a great job, but they were helping. So,
They were doing
um,
something.
you know, I want to reward the effort.
Yeah, absolutely. That is very cool. Let's talk about allowance for a second. What do you think is a reasonable allowance for kids?
So I'm kind of stingy. I have done some research, and a lot of recommendations are around like do 1 to 2 times the child's age. So if you have a 5-year old, it could be anywhere from $5 to $10 a week.
Okay.
Um,
That
I
gets
have a
expensive though.
It
That gets
does.
expensive.
It does, but it's also like, the things they want get expensive too.
True.
And the nice thing is okay. So if you give them more money, it depends. If you're the kind of family that's like, I'm going to give you $100 a week. Let's just say
Sure.
that's what you're going to do. I wouldn't do that. I'm like $5 a week. I don't care how old you are. Um,
Yeah, that's more what I wanted.
yeah, I'm $5 a week. My kids are young, like they want stuffed animals and Legos, so they don't have major expenses at this point.
Yeah.
But one of the stories I wanted to share is, so my son is really good at losing things. It's like we'll go through like 3 or 4 pairs of gloves and water bottles, and a single shoe somehow went missing. I don't know. And so we were like buying him stuff over and over again, like another pair of mittens, another pair of mittens. I'm hitting thrift stores. I'm like scrounging around in the lost and founds. And then
Yeah.
finally we were like, all right, you know what? You're losing these because you don't care about them. You have you don't value them because they
Yeah.
just keep showing up in your life. So instead of buying them for him, we made him buy a pair of mittens out of his allowance. And so we loaded up like 5 pairs of mittens onto Cat Shop and said, take your pick, buddy. And he looked through and he's like, oh, okay, I like the stripes on that one. This one's in my size. All right, I'm going to do that. And, they were like $15 or whatever, but he spent his own money on them and he's excited. He's like, when are they coming? I like,
Good.
I know, I'm so excited because right now he's got like a orange one and a blue one, and that's what he's working with. So I'm like, okay, you're gonna have mittens, and he's gonna take better care of them because he spent the money himself. He made the decision himself, and so those are his mittens, not the mittens we got for him. So
Oh, I like that.
what I'm getting to is like with greater power comes greater responsibility. If you're giving your child more money, you got to expect more from them, whether that's chores or buying their own things that normally you would cover.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I love that. My son, it's funny. We a while ago thought to start to do an allowance and then have him like do chores to earn the allowance. And that lasted probably like 2 weeks. I feel like we're
Hmm.
really bad about systems in our house. Like, when you like
Yeah.
start a new system and then it doesn't always like continue on past 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
That's
I've had a
like
bunch of failed checklists in my house. I know that feeling for
yeah.
sure.
That's usually how that happens. But now that I'm thinking about that, I'm like, I'm probably saving money because we stopped doing the allowance. And so
Yeah.
maybe I'm saving money. But I think it might have been like $5 a month or something a week, something like that. But like I said, it only lasted 2 weeks. But he's 10 now. And so if we were doing that doubling his age thing, like I said, like that could get expensive
Well, it's
after a
one to two times is what I've read. So, I mean, it depends on your household too. And if you are giving him, say, $20 a week, like maybe you stop buying him school supplies and he's in charge of doing
yeah.
those things. So,
What it
I
really is
mean,
like I should probably stop buying those virtual items because that's really where he's been spending a lot of his money lately.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think having a system in place really the main benefits to catch up for our family has been like creating a framework. We call it the framework of yes. So knowing when the answer is going to be yes. Because usually beforehand it was like, Mom, I want a donut. Mom, I want to buy this like sticky hand I found at the store. Mom, like I want to buy this. I want to buy that. Buy me this. Buy me that. And I would just kind of like freeze up, and my answer would depend on like, have they been good for the last 5 minutes? Did they make their beds this morning? Have I had a good day? How am I feeling right now? Am I in a hurry? Like, there's all these calculations that I have to figure out to be like, is this a yes answer or a no answer? And then they just keep talking at me until I either like snapped and yelled at them and felt like a terrible mom, or I gave in and bought them the thing that they wanted and kind of felt like a terrible mom.
Yeah.
So having this like framework of yes, it's like, okay, you want this thing. Is it approved by mom? Like, do I actually want you to have it? And do you have enough money? And if those two things are satisfied, then the answer is yes. And it makes it so much easier as a parent to know, like, well, you only have $3, that's $5. So sorry, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
I love that. I think I'm going to start to do that. You know what we did start doing because I had seen this online somewhere is that if your child is asking for something and you're not prepared to buy it at that point in time, you say, I'm going to take a picture of it with my phone and then maybe we can think about it for next time. So I want to take a picture so that I know what it looks like and so I don't
Mm-hmm,
forget.
mm-hmm.
And I've tried that like once or twice and it's worked. Maybe once, maybe not
Okay.
twice.
Yeah.
But that I've seen, and I think depending on the age of the child, it actually may work better. I feel like that would probably work better with younger children. I only started doing it recently, and my son is older, and so he's just like, "Nice try, mom." Like that's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are letting them know that, they're being heard. One
Yes.
thing we do in Catch Up is you can take a picture of that item that you see out and about, and then you can create basically like a little store listing and say like, okay, you wanted this puzzle, for example. All right, it was 19.99. Here's a picture of it. And so the child can keep saving up for it and like have a measurable way to see like, okay, I only have $7 right now. If I keep saving up, I will get to 19.99 by like the end of the week. And so it's not just taking a picture and then the picture disappears. It's taking a picture that becomes a goal for your child to work towards. So you are like helping them reach that goal by putting it into ketchup. So yeah, we do that a lot. And most of the time it's like we take the picture, we're like, okay, good, and then we never see it again. But there have been a few things where it's like, all right, I guess we got to go back to our local toy store and buy that kite that you wanted because now you've earned it.
Yeah, I love that. I also like how you said about like the saving that it'll show on the bottom, right? So that you know
Yeah, we have like a
where you're
little bar
tracking.
that shows how close you're getting to your goal. So the children can see like, oh, I am really close. Maybe I don't want to spend my money on this piece of candy because I'm only $2 away from buying whatever, the bike that I wanted.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I feel like I need that for me. I feel like we need that for adults. Can you guys like get working on like the adult version for that too?
I would also like that. I'm trying to think of the kind of things I would put on there.
I don't know, shoes, dresses,
Vacations,
purses,
babysitters.
vacation, babysitters, house cleaners. I don't know. I can think of
Oh
all
man.
kinds of different, all
hmm
kinds of different things that I would
Sounds
want to
good.
do.
Yeah. Mom shop.
Mom shop. There you go. I think you have an idea there. I love that. I love that. So, um, I was. Oh yeah, they're clapping. Thanks, guys.
Yay.
Yay! Thanks, guys. Um, well, I was gonna go somewhere with that, and then I forgot. And I got so excited thinking about buying stuff with the mom shops that I forgot what my next question was gonna be. It's totally fine though. How old do you recommend kids start to get involved in this? You know, like obviously you're not gonna start a toddler necessarily, right? Like, so what age do you think is like the right age to have these conversations?
I think a lot of it depends on how your family is and how your child is. Like I have a 3-year old, that's my youngest. We don't really use it with him just because like, he can count to 10, but
Mhm.
not always, And so it can help with those concepts. We're also a little like judicious in how we use our screen time. So if your family's not into screen time, it's good to be able to check in and use it, but it's not somewhere where you can like spend hours on it.
Yeah.
But I'd say like on average, the younger users around 5 or so, and then I have heard of users being over 13 or 14, but at a certain point, they're kind of out in the world and shopping for themselves, and they don't need as many boundaries. I did talk to a user who had a 15-year-old, and they were using it to save up for really big items like a bike. He wanted to go to Europe. It was things that were like thousands of dollars, and so being able to track it that way, rather than like I want a video game console. I want like a new pair of shoes. Those kind of things like older kids can buy themselves, but it is nice to have something earmarked for bigger purchases.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I have two questions. Is it on iOS and Android? What
Yes.
platforms is it
Yep.
on right now?
It's on iOS, it's on Android, and there's a web app. So if you are, no matter where you are, you can figure out a way to use it.
That is so
Yeah.
cool. I was playing around with it actually earlier today before we jumped on, and I was like, I want this for me, let alone for my 10-year-old. I think he would want it too, but then the thing is, he would want everything. But I think that's
Yeah.
part. That's why.
Well,
That's why you have to put it in the framework of yes.
for sure. Yeah, you don't want to give anyone like hundreds of thousands of options. Like when I'm looking for something on Amazon, for example, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many. I was trying to buy a lamp, and it was like, there's literally 500,000 lamps here. And just give me like 20, please.
Mhm.
Like,
It's true. Give me 20 lamps. That's all you need. Let me pick this, and that. It
yeah.
becomes decision paralysis after a while.
hmm
And then they're serving you things that like you would never need in 100 years. Like you'll be like lamp, potato masher. You're like,
Oh
that
yeah.
doesn't even make
Yeah,
sense.
I need that all of a sudden. Yeah. It's really interesting because there have been some really cool studies around like uh, choice overload, and like the famous one is the jam experiment, where like they gave a bunch of people tastes of jam, and like the more taste they had, the less likely they were to buy one and the less happy they were with their choice. But there's a researcher named Michael Mimeron, and she researched choice overload in kids, which was so cool because she basically gave kids choices between like reading 2 books or reading seven books, however many it is, 7 books. And like the kids loved choosing from the 7 books. They were like really into like comparing. And but when they got the book, they're like, okay, like next. And the ones who only had 2 books, they like read them front to back, like looked at all the pictures. And the theory is that choosing becomes the activity. Instead of being stoked on the thing you have, you use all of your energy trying to figure out which one is best. And that's fun. But in the end, like you end up with the one book and you're less happy because you could have had. So I think it's a really cool demonstration that sometimes having fewer choices ends up with a happier result.
Yeah, wow, that is such a phenomenal study. I want to read more about that because I feel like I should start to implement that at home, just in general. I mean, there's so many choices that we make in a given day, right? And if you could really narrow it down, I think that you probably become happier in your final decision and in your choice.
Yeah. My parenting guru that has kind of taught me everything about how to be a decent parent. Her name is Lorraine Meyer, and she taught like the choice of 2, and you give them 2 choices, and you have to be okay with whichever one they pick. It's like, do you want broccoli or salad with your dinner tonight? And it's like, no matter what they pick, they're going to eat a vegetable. I'm happy to have them have either one. But I totally use that with adults too. It's like, do you want to meet me for Thai food, or do you want to meet me for Italian food? Like, where are we going to go? And when you narrow it down like that, I know, me too. All right, we'll do Thai, and then we'll do drinks.
There you go.
But having those 2 choices, like, makes it so it's not like, hey, what do you want to do tonight? Like, oh, shoot, I don't know. Like, should we play mini golf? Should we go to a movie? I don't know. So having just a small number like makes it easier for the person deciding, and it gives you power because whatever they pick, they feel like I made this choice, but really it's still within the boundaries of like what works for you. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That is such a great takeaway. So we're almost at time. So aside from that wonderful that wonderful takeaway there about decision tree, because I think that is so interesting and I want to read more about that. What's your final takeaway about budgeting for kids?
Oh, I think it's to start early. There's so many like financial education apps out there, but they're mainly geared towards older kids who are already like out in the world, making their own choices. And those are great. And I think they're wonderful for older children. But allowing kids to get their hands dirty, make mistakes, and learn from those mistakes at such an early age is amazing. It's wonderful to see how they learn and grow from like, ooh, I bought this last time and I wasn't really happy with it. I'm not going to buy something like that again. And like my son today was like, everything I buy with batteries just dies. I'm like, well, are you going to buy another thing with batteries? He's like, maybe one more thing. I was like, all right. I was like, all right, we're still working on that. But he was like starting to connect the dots. And I think just letting kids make those decisions instead of being like, don't do it, it's going to break. It's like nobody wants to hear that. They just want to be like, I'm not going to do it because it's going to break.
Exactly. So, they have to connect the dots for themselves.
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely. So let them connect the dots. Just put the dots there for them.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So tell everybody where we can find you, where we could learn more about Ketchup, and tell us all the stuff.
You can find us at www.ketshop.com, KETSHOP. And I'm going to set up a landing page for your listeners. If they would like to sign up through that link, we'll give them $10 off their first Ketchup fulfilled order.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
So we'll do ketshop.com/modernmomprobs.
Perfect. Yeah, that is awesome. Mary, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you. It was so great talking with you.
Have a wonderful day, and